Voila, Chatroom's on. Chatroom, what's it all about?
It's a venue of stars.
Morality. There's still any left.
Life is about choice. Everyone has an opinion.
The debate is always good. Let's chat about it. Let's start.
And welcome to the chat room. The struggle for equality in South Africa is one of the major events in global history. And in 1994, this country experienced real freedom for the first time. But freedom itself is not without its challenges, and some of these have been tackled through song. Music's power to pass messages to the masses has been used throughout history. Our musicians continue to address all sorts of issues through their craft. Artists like Bob Marley, Lucky Dube, Gil Scott-Heron and Letambule have all used music to pass on messages of emancipation and equality. In recent weeks, though, a new song hit the airwaves and caused an uproar. This song is titled Blacks Are Fools. Now, at face value, one can see why Mzansi masses would be a little ticked off at the assertion of this title. But the composer and performer of the song, the award-winning hip-hop star, influential role model, and respected businessman Slicker, says he's only raising real social issues in the medium he knows best, straight-talking hip-hop. So today we're asking how far personal expression through music and art can go in addressing political and social issues. Slicker's here to have his say, and those who oppose him when he says blacks are fools are also in studio to take him head on. Welcome back to the chat room. Now, how far is too far when passing political and social commentary through song? Before the break, we played a song called Blacks Are Fools by popular hip-hop star Slicker. Now, the track has torn a few individuals in this country, and Slicker's here in studio to discuss the song. Joining us in studio is liberation poet Mr. Mzwakhe Mbuli, as well as businessman Mr. Ezra Ndwandwe. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to start with you, Mzwakhe. Firstly, you have a problem with the title of the song. Why is that?
I mean, it doesn't say blacks are beautiful, blacks are intelligent, blacks are gifted, blacks are made in God's image. It says blacks are fools. And the word fool means idiot, means brainless. It says a lot. It's a denigrating word. It's belittling. So it's not a nice word.
But
Before we can talk about, it's like headline news. Before you read the paper, what does it say?
But
Blacks
looking
are
at the content in the song, do you not think that it qualifies why the song is titled that way?
Yeah, well, people have got their right to various opinions. Paulos Ari said blacks were baboons. Okay? People who are involved in SPCA and game reserves, they didn't have a problem when you mentioned their subjects, baboons and lions in the game reserve. It was a big matter in this country. Pat Botha said blacks were laughing in the streets of South Africa. In the United Nations, that was an issue because we were oppressed. How can you say blacks were smiling whilst Mandela was in prison, people were in exile? All right?
Slicker, please can you qualify the title? Because I think that's what's torn a few people in this country. Explain to us why you titled the song that.
I think for clarity, there's two parts of the song, what I'm saying. And I have not undermined the South African community by thinking that it will go over their heads, you know. I am, from my personal experience as a South African, I have heard foreigners, people, not white people only, foreigners that come here that always go, you South African guys are lazy. You don't do nothing, and you're always crying for this or you're always crying for that. You're essentially spoiled, you know? And that's why you can't even develop your economy because you're not doing the little things to even get there. So essentially you're fools. I have heard that being said about us. So my song is quoting the things that I'm sure all of us have heard it. I am quoting. And then as a black South African, I respond and I say, I hope we're better than that. You know what I mean? And even in the verses, I literally like touch on some things that hinder like our progressions or something that we prioritize over us moving as a nation, essentially. So my thing is, I'm questioning whether are we building individuals or are we building an economy? Are we building a legacy that we say this is a black South African legacy after 20 years? Because whether you like it or not, whatever hands were used here, whoever built SABC, whoever built Cecil, it's still an Afrikaner legacy. What are we today planting as the South Africa of today as a community that's going to be a legacy? Yes, there are people doing great things. So essentially a lot of people, and I've heard it, I've even had white people, when I'm in my car, go, and they see me driving my car, and they're like, oh, BE, BE. And, you know, I go, can't a black person work hard and be congratulated? Are we the type that's just always feels like we're entitled or we need to get this? So I am quoting, I'm saying, because these blacks are fools, that is what is said about us. And I say, but I hope we're better than that. That's all it is.
Okay. Mr. Ezra, coming from the business sector, and he mentions he's got a verse in his song that talks about business and how business doesn't support talent, in fact, exploits them. This is stuff that he's experiencing, this is stuff that he's going through, this is stuff that he's hearing. What is your response to that?
Well, look, I think, first of all, I'm not so sure if that experience is a shared experience.
But, but he makes reference to Zola, for example. This is what he says in the song. He says that Zola is a talented boy, but he didn't go anywhere else because corporate wouldn't identify him. The only people that actually got to use him was Cell C, where you've got the Parlotones, on the other hand, who are everywhere, who are with big brands, and they've just been 2 years in the industry, and yet there are many black artists who've been around who are just as talented but haven't been given the opportunity, and black business is not doing anything about it.
It's not so much black business, that's what I'm trying to say. Let me just first of all explain it, my understanding of this. His view and what is in the song may not necessarily be a reflection of black people's experiences. You know, he's entitled to that because he's experienced it and he's contextualized the lyrics of the song. But having said that, he also raises issues which are absolutely true and are a reflection of how we as black people portray ourselves in whoever is looking at us. I'll make mention of that. First of all, the way in which we define success is very materialistic. You know, the flashy BMWs that he's talking about, the Louis Vuittons and all of that he's talking about, which actually drives the stereotype that black people are more consumers than they are creators. So there is an element of truth. I suppose it's how he says it as opposed to what he says. That's the first thing.
But
and then
isn't that creative license? How should he say it?
Well, it's what people will respond to. He said it the way that he did. That's why you're getting the response that you're getting. You know, so it's how people receive and consume what he is saying that is important.
So you're not criticizing the way he said it.
I'm not criticizing the content of what he's saying, because in essence that's a perception, that's a general perception in business that black people are not creators, they are consumers, which really is a stereotype that we need to rise up to and challenge and say, actually, this is what we have created, because it's true. It's true what he says, that if you look around, albeit that apartheid was an abnormal system altogether, what we have now is the legacy of apartheid. And the way in which we respond to that is to say, we're better than that, here's what we've created. What have we created to date? Is a good question. So what you see is us taking an abnormal system and maintaining it with our own. The apartheid system was abnormal and was run by white people. The apartheid system to date is still normal, but it is maintained in one way or another, directly and indirectly, by black people. Well, I just wanted to check with you, Sliko. How do you see this changing? You talk about the challenges and you know, this social economic cohesion that you're referring to. How do you see that playing itself out?
We're not talking individuals and who they are. We're talking about the business and how money circulates, essentially, and where we're going if we're not circulating money. We've got an unemployment problem with the youth. I was just in Nelspruit right about now, and the youth are not saying we want land. They're saying that we studied and we've worked hard, and we'd like the opportunity to produce in this land that has been claimed. Who has claimed the land, you know? So essentially, you must understand that yes, we wanted everything back, but we're having an economic struggle today. And young people are struggling to get jobs. This is not even about music. Young people are struggling to get jobs. It's because we're not continuing to develop the economy. Now, Patrice and all the guys that are out there in the world, they're doing great, and they are examples of people who were greater than whatever apartheid did to them. And they went further and they pushed. But my thing is that how are we moving from that and like making it a nation thing? How are we spilling it over, right? So that's the conversation that we need to start having, because essentially the content on television, like you said, stereotypes us. Stereotypes us like we're not progressive. No white person has told me go write a song called Blacks Are Fools. But I will tell you, I interact from Abantwana election right down to white people in corporate offices everywhere, and I hear my ears are open. I'm living in the today world, and I hear how I am perceived. And you know when they bring you close, like, oh, you the good black, you know, whatever the case be. And it's like as if the rest of your people are not good enough.
Back on the point of how Slicker is communicating the issues that he's raising in this song, which was like, in one of your songs, you've got and you express yourself in the way that you choose to express yourself. Why can't he do that in this case?
You're referring to a reaction that happened after 1976 shooting uprising. That was a massacre. More than 700 people were shot dead. And students, live ammunition, not just rubber bullets.
But he's just as angry.
Yeah, no,
he's just as angry about the situation. Why is he not allowed to express himself?
Does he have a song where he condemns the Sharpeville massacre, June 16?
But I'm just saying that in this case, this is his reality. This is what...
Look, I'm not there. Look, you know, you have what you call a creative license. You talk of creative license. The National Party came with an info song by Louis Nel. And they involved a lot of people like Bikele Gupega, Steve Kek, and all of them. And their homes were bombed, okay? And then you have a Salman Rushdie. He had a poetic license or a creative license in London. Today, he remains underground. Here is a situation. He says he's quoting people who came to this country. Who are these people who came? Did they hold a press conference and say, you blacks in South Africa are fools? If he says blacks, black pride, Steve Biko came with black men, you're on your own. Okay, people who started straightening their hair, using skin lightening products. So it was the same message of Robert Sobukwe, that we are Africans, Africa for Africans. It's the same message of Marcus Garvey. You need to read books, among other things, books of Frantz Fanon, whether Steve Biko, I like what I like. We are proud of who we are. He is saying people came and said, you blacks are fools, but they didn't say to him, go and write a song entitled Blacks Are Fools.
Can I please just one quick thing I'd like to say, Bambud. And I respect you completely, you know, and from a youth I've been watching you doing your poems with my family, essentially, you know. I won't lie to you. There's almost 100, and I just checked the media track, almost 154 media piece clippings where I've elaborated and I even have a full page on the City Press where I wrote about my thinking, right? Now, I want you to acknowledge something, a world that we are living in. The media, the tabloid, is not built to build us, essentially. Those guys that wrote that thing on the tabloid, they're catching up with the story very late.
After the break, we're joined by motivational speaker and author Billy Guy Bembe. Stay tuned.
Black child, it's possible. I believe it's all possible. I believe everything was meant to be. 1976, almost 33 years ago, the youth of this country died for a reason. They did not die in vain. They died for us to see the possibilities that life has for each and every one of us. Black child, it's possible. Black child, you are powerful. More powerful than any force that this world has ever seen. More powerful than the pharaohs back in the times of the Egyptians. Black child, anything is possible. That car you stare at every day from a window of a taxi, I say, black child, it's possible. That house you constantly speak about on the hilltops, where you keep on mentioning that it's only e-cork that stay there, I say, dream it too, because black child, it's possible. The position within a company, many of you keep on saying, he just landed a BE deal yesterday. I say, black child, it's possible for you too. Black child, you can have anything imaginable. You can have anything under God's shadow. For God said anything is possible for each and every one of us. He did not say that your color or your race shall make you mightier or lesser than others. He said it's possible for each and every one of us. But I'm here as Billy Guy Bembe to tell you that, black child, it's possible. It is possible for you to go to school. It is possible for you to be employed. It is possible for you to start a business. It is possible for you to be successful. Just like me, black child, it's possible. I stand here as a young warrior who's not only preaching, but raising my spear. I wage war against poverty. I wage war against drug abuse. I wage war against AIDS. I wage war against ungayeskela. As a black child, there are too many difficulties to overcome, but I always say, do not ever let your circumstances determine your destination. Every day I make a comparison and realize that all men are equal, but some are more equal than others. Black child, I know your struggle. Where many of us have to wake up 3 hours before the rest of the world to achieve the same dream. Black child, I know your struggle. The distance we have to travel to the promised land of gold, diamonds, and platinum. Black child, I know your struggle. Now, even when you feel like your back is against the wall, I still say it again. Black child, it is possible. It is possible for you to become president in any country. Where many said it's not possible. Black child, you did it. Black Obama, he did it. Nelson Mandela, he did it. Patrice Motsepe and many other examples, they did it. You at home and all of us here, you can do it. Black child, it is.
Chatroom's on.
Let's chat about a start.
Welcome back. Before the break, we had a little bit of Billy Guy's poetry in studio. He's here to join us to chat more about this discussion. Now, he does a lot of social commentary in his work as well. And Billy, I want to find out from you, what is your take on Slicker's content and song? Because it's a different approach to what you do, clearly.
First and foremost, when I had the look at the content, but firstly the title of the song, I understood where Slicker was coming from. And whenever we need to provoke thought out of people, you need to, in some way, grab their attention. And in any marketing terms, his title did exactly that. It got us speaking, which is why we're here today. But looking at the content of what Slicker was speaking about in the song, I agree to a large degree with a number of things which he's speaking about there. But the only part where I disagree is the manner in which we are going about it. A lot of us are given platforms to speak about things. A lot of us love to speak about things, but we don't actually take action on those things. So this is where I come in and say it's all good and well to set aside youth programs, to set aside laws that will govern how young people should be uplifted. But it's up until every individual black person takes it upon themselves to say, I will make a difference within the circle of influence that I have. So the person next to me, the people I relate to, if I can make a social difference to those people, that's where it starts. So mine is to say, yes, Slicker, I do agree with quite a number of things in your content, but it's then the how-to part, which is where our people pretty much are lacking. How do we then take it from conversation to action?
Pastor Dick, your closing comment, please.
Well, I will say that we need to balance the tension between the older generation and the younger generation. He just mentioned 76. We were part of 76. But we are no longer there. We don't have the strength. But what we need to do, we need to balance. In the Bible, you'll always find that it was the youth that helped the older generation. When the soldiers of Israel were struggling to fight Goliath, it was the young David who came. What we need to do, people like Slicker need to be channeled properly. And I think we can have a better country.
We are the new generation. We are the guys. If we start today, we're talking about a 20, 30-year solution. I'm not talking about tomorrow's sober grand. Let's start today to plant the seed. Let us be, I probably won't be alive to see it, but let us be the generation to say, you see that factory that's doing this, that's selling this, you see that broadcaster, that we like, I don't know what the word they was used. They used the word that we are maintaining their legacy. I want to be sitting in the next 30, 40 years and go, I was in that generation that started the conversation and that was not angry anymore about the past, but remembered and said, the past made us this great, and this is how far we need to be.
Slicker, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for coming onto the chat room. And I'm sure you've clarified a lot of issues surrounding this song.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that's all we have time for on the chat room today. What's your view? Call us on the chat room hotline. The lines are open, and they will remain open until 12 midday tomorrow. That's all we have time for. From me, Sarah Tabete, and the rest of the chat room team, goodbye and God bless.